a spectrum of ideologies, some of which fall outside its actual meaning. In return, this has led to a simple word to become one heavy with misconceptions and skepticism. So, just to quote the actual dictionary definition of the word feminism, it is the advocacy of women's rights on the ground of equality of the sexes. It's also of great importance to understand why this word came about and why the feminist movement started. It was due to an increasing amount of women seeking for change. So, just a quick history lesson. The modern history of Western feminism is divided in what we call waves. The first wave feminists carried out the suffrage movement, which regarded the right to vote during the late 19th century and early 20th century. Then came the second wave feminism, which was mainly concerned with reaching and finding legal and social equality for women, mostly by eradicating their inferiority in the workplace and the destruction of the classical role to marry, bear children, and care for the home. However, it was also at this time that the first radical group was criticized, called National Women's Party, was criticized by the media for their insensitive commitment to feminism, even when other feminist groups were setting their purpose aside to join the war effort. Nonetheless, what was considered radical back then might not be considered so now, as worldwide mindset changes, and being a little more persistent on demanding to be an equal part of society by having the right to vote doesn't seem too extreme looking back. Then came the third wave feminism, which is a continued attempt to reach social, cultural, and political equality. So, in current society, there are many perspectives, one of which is called radical feminism. People who identify themselves as radical feminists believe that society is fundamentally a patriarchy in which men oppress and dominate women, which lead protests to be specifically against men that in return fuel their anti-men view. This is just one perspective out of hundreds, and oftentimes when you ask somebody who's a non-feminist if they believe in the equality of the sexes, they will say that they do. That's the definition of feminism, yet they don't consider themselves to be feminists. This is due to the fact that there's only one word to encompass such a wide variety and range of perspectives, some of which stray away from the original purpose of supporting the rights of women and lead more towards hatred, which most feminists don't stand for. Some men and women also don't like the idea of feminism because it's too female-centered. So what about the males? Are we discriminating them by not including them? Well, actually, it's the opposite, because we need their collaboration in order to reach a common ground. Although feminism is about women, it's not only for women, it's for everybody in society to contribute and work together to diminish a problem and inequality that is affecting millions of people worldwide. I am a feminist, but it doesn't mean I hate men most of the time. However, I do believe that we're not in the same place as men are in society, so that in order to reach a common level, we have to go up. Not beyond men, but in sync with them, at the same stage. Equality is also not to be confused with identicality. Of course, men and women will never be the same. They will never be identical simply due to our biological differences that allow us to have different potentials to achieve different things. Like, for example, becoming a firefighter. And don't get me wrong, I'm in no way saying that women cannot become firefighters. But by nature, men have a higher reachable capacity of physical strength that allows them to complete tasks that it requires to become a firefighter with more ease. Like, for example, carrying a 72-kilogram mannequin for 45 meters. Other people believe that there's no problem to address, and that in Western society, equality is predominant. But in our English class, we went over a case study in which a woman working for a Western consulting company started signing her emails with a male name rather than a female name. And she found that compared to the previous doubtful and demeaning responses, they were now rather trusting and respectful. This was just 2 years ago. Other people fear that feminism means that men will start losing out of power, out of influence, out of economic opportunities and control. However, feminism does not mean this. It doesn't mean that men will lose out of anything. It means that they will simply be faced with equality, and what that could mean in terms of job attribution, as it should have been all along. And as it should have been all along, equality is not a race. However, as women try to catch up to standards, the people in the front feel like they're being chased, which can create a sense of fear. My friend and I walked around the school asking people what they thought the word feminism meant. And while some people knew, others were either too scared to get it wrong or just simply misguessing. Like this kid that went on to say that feminism was the study of the behavior of women. The fact that a lot of young people and even adults don't understand what this term means is the reason why feminism is not always approached with open arms. So simply by being aware of what it means and what the term stands for and what feminism stands for, we're able to make more educated choices and contribute to the journey if you choose to do so. Just because you're not feeling the oppression directly, it doesn't mean it's not there. So, what now? I'm not telling you to go out there and protest fiercely. I'm here to shine a light and hope to incite self-reflection so that we can all be aware of a problem and accept it. And by doing so, we're already halfway there. Because being a feminist doesn't mean just advocating for yourself. It means advocating for women who are part of racial minorities. It means advocating for women who are part of less open-minded countries and women who are living in conditions that are not like the rest of us. It means advocating for the general well-being of human beings, which just happens to require a little more effort from the female counterpart.